Hello and greetings, everyone. It is my absolute pleasure and honor to be a guest host today on Who Cares About Justice podcast. Today, I will be talking with a very special guest about a topic that is near and dear to a lot of us in today's trying times, and that's equitable justice then and now. We have just an honorable man, a great man, an amazing leader in his community and throughout the United States that will be joining us in just a few moments. But I do want to just introduce him briefly, and then I will allow him space when he comes on with us to talk a little bit about himself. But I do have joining with us today the Honorable Walter H. Rice. He is a senior United States District Judge in the United States District Court for the Southern District of Ohio. He was born in Pittsburgh. He received his BA from Northwestern, and he also received his MBA and Juris Doctor concurrently at the Columbia School of Law. He has an extensive background in the legal field, and he was also appointed as judge of Montgomery County several years ago, a number of years ago, and he'll talk a little bit about that when he's with us. He serves as an adjunct professor at the University of Dayton School of Law. He was also appointed by the Senate to the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Ohio back in 1980, and he served as chief judge from 1996 to 2003. Back in 2018, the president signed legislation naming the federal building in Dayton, Ohio after him. It's the Walter H. Rice Federal Building and United States Courthouse. So we will be talking today about just his passion for equity. We will be talking about his journey throughout law and as a judge, and we'll also be addressing some of the issues that are pressing right now today in 2025 that have many of us scratching our heads and many of us just afraid to wake up and read the headlines. So we are honored and delighted to have him, and we look forward to all that he has to say to enlighten us in this time and about leadership and equity moving forward. So without further ado, I would like to welcome to this platform and introduce to you all the Honorable Walter H. Rice.
Miss Angela, good afternoon, and thank you for this treat of being able to talk with you.
Yes, sir. So it is definitely my pleasure, and I am excited to have you on, as I am sure many of our listeners are as well. So we will just jump right into it. Tell us a little bit about your journey into the legal field and your career to date.
Well, I wanted to become a lawyer from my grade school days. I fell in love with history, American and world history, and it seemed to me at that time that people who accomplished things and really could help others. These were all lawyers. Most of our founding fathers were lawyers or associated with the legal system. And with that, knowing very little about what a lawyer did, I decided that that's what I wanted to be. And throughout college, I majored in history, and that simply firmed up my desire to enter the legal field. After graduating from law school, I came to Dayton, and I was going to stay here about 6 months and then move to either Cleveland, Cincinnati, or Chicago. I fell in love with this community. The bags are still packed. I never wanted to leave after I got to Dayton.
Excellent, excellent. So in the introduction, I talked about your ascent into being a judge, and also now having a federal courthouse named after you. Tell us a little bit about that journey, going from a lawyer into your judgeship and then beyond.
Well, I'd be happy to. I opened up my own law office in June of 1963 to say that clients were not breaking down my door to see me would be an understatement. So what I started doing was whenever I had free time, going over to the county courthouse, which in those days was right across the street. I fell in love with the courtroom. I left practice after about 6 months, went with the county prosecuting attorney's office, was there for about 2.5 years, and I was in court constantly. I then went into private practice and never was far from the courtroom. I did criminal defense work and plaintiff's trial work, personal injury, and workers' compensation. I realized at the time, though, as I was nearing the end of my private practice years, that I didn't want to be exclusively an office lawyer. I wanted to do something where I could be in the courtroom and at the same time, rather than representing one side of a legal dispute, I wanted to be able to consider both sides, to learn the law that applied to the facts that I was hearing, and decide the case based on the facts and on the law. In July of 1969, the legislature created a fifth municipal judgeship, and I ran for it with no expectation of success. I simply wanted to, as we say, get our name out there for future opportunities. I was successful in November of 1969, and I've been blessed to be a judge ever since.
Wow. Wow. So you had no expectation, but you went for it. And look at
Yes.
what, yeah, look at what the outcome has been. That is absolutely amazing. Thank you for sharing your story. Yeah, so you and I have the honor of serving together on the board of the CARES Justice Institute. And you are serving as board chair. I was blessed to be one of the founding board members, and still serving today. Is there a point in time or an incident that you can remember in your career or in your life that just really gave you a passion for equity? I heard you mention you wanted to not just be on one side of the decision making, but you wanted to hear both sides, and that screams equity to me. So was there a point that you can remember where you just became passionate about equity?
There was no one incident, Miss Angela, but there were a number of experiences. When I came to Dayton, before I came to Dayton, I had lived basically a life of being middle class. And it was a segregated existence in the 1940s and 1950s. I came to Dayton and I got involved with politics. Nothing fancy, simply working on different campaigns, going door to door. And I met so many people that I otherwise had never met or would never have met. And I consider politics, with all of its warts and blemishes, not only the best way to make lasting systemic change, but absolutely the best postgraduate education in people.
Mhm.
And it began to dawn on me, and this was firmed up when I was in the prosecutor's office and became a municipal judge, that I had led an absolutely blessed life.
Mm,
I wasn't born as a federal judge. I was a dumb kid when I was growing up. I wasn't a delinquent, but I did some dumb things.
mm,
And my blessing was that I had parents who absolutely refused to let me fail,
mm,
that simply would not allow me to waste whatever potential they felt that I had. And when I got involved in politics and started meeting people who came into my courtroom, I realized that not everyone was as lucky as I. And the expression, there but for the grace of God, go I,
mm,
was something that I had reason to think about every day of both my political career and my early years as an attorney and judge.
mm,
I developed some beliefs that I still hold. Uh, First of all, everyone, I don't care what that person has done, has good
mm,
in them. They may have done some very, very bad things for reasons, many of which are beyond their control. But I can honestly say in 62 years since I've become a lawyer and then a judge, I've met fewer bad people, truly bad people, that I can count on the fingers
mm.
of one hand. And
Well,
it occurred to me that if I could do anything to increase their equality of opportunity to achieve to their potential, then that's what I wanted to do. Um, as a judge, you have to follow the law. You have to sentence people who have transgressed. But I developed a policy that if there's someone I can help
mm,
in the community without endangering the safety of the community, if the law allowed it, I was going to try to give that person a chance simply to increase that person's not a quality of results, but a quality of opportunity, which I believe, and every year with more determination to try to achieve it, that everyone deserves an equal shot to
mm.
maximize their potential to live a happy, contented, a contributing life. That's too
Well,
long an answer to a short question, and I
no,
apologize.
I absolutely love it. I was sitting here soaking it all in. Nowadays, even the word equity has become such a dirty word, but to hear you describe the equity of opportunity that you seek to give to individuals, not just a second chance, but another chance, for individuals who may have transgressed in some way. I think it's really poetic. And I think that, many individuals, political, commonplace, around the world could learn from what you've just spoken about here. And I appreciate that. So keeping along those same lines, there's lots of tension currently going on, and the news and social media aren't making it any better. There, we hear rumors about tensions between the Black community and the Jewish community, which I think is untrue, but it's being sensationalized. We also hear a lot about the ongoing conflict and war between Israel and Palestine, and how it's caused a lot of contention around the world and even amongst Americans. As a leader and a judge, I'm interested to know, how do you approach conversations about conflicts when emotions are high and when someone is unmovable in their belief?
Well, as a judge, we are required to be neutral on all issues that might come before us. I'm not going to have any cases that directly involve the Israeli-Palestinian issue, but certainly it's something that I want to discuss with my friends.
Mm.
I have found that I'm of the Jewish faith. I have found that my friends, and I give them plenty of opportunities, simply don't want to discuss the issue
Mm.
with me. Whether they feel I have certain thoughts that will be contra to theirs, I don't know. So I can count very, very few conversations on the Israeli-Palestinian issue with my non-Jewish friends. With my Jewish friends, it's different. I have an emotional pull toward a homeland for Jewish people that I've had since I was probably 10 years old, and I'll probably have for the rest of my life. But to say I agree with what the Israeli government is doing would be a misstatement. I understand the need to defend oneself, that when one is taking steps to harm women and children who have no more connection with what happened on October 7th than I do, then I disapprove of that action. And if I were a citizen of Israel, I would be, frankly, on the streets protesting.
Mm.
I share that. It's not the most popular opinion. But as far as other issues that we read about in the day's paper, I express my feelings about what's going on to family members and a few trusted friends. I don't come out front and center expressing my opinion because what is going on in this country may well be the type of issue that comes before me as
Mm.
the judge.
I understand. I understand. And so that shows a lot of restraint and discipline on your end in order to be able to refrain from discussing certain things that may come before you. And I do appreciate that you do have to be neutral where that's concerned. One of the things that stood out from what you said was just the lack of conversation that others are willing to engage in. And we understand that conversation and getting to know someone and understanding their viewpoints is really an impetus to change some of the issues that we see in the world today. And instead of people shouting at each other or texting back and forth or on social media arguing, if people would sometimes just sit down and break bread together, they may understand that they have more in common than they do differences. So I think that's very important for us to try and continue to to motivate individuals to have those conversations even when they're difficult.
Well, I could not agree more. And you have kindly given me the opportunity for a long and perhaps exhausting, as far as the listeners are concerned, a monologue on that point. Uh, I can defer that if you'd like, or
No,
I can.
please.
Or I think, and I'm going to talk about race relations
Mm.
for a moment. It's an issue that this country has never fully dealt with. It's an issue that uh, people use to stereotype each other. It's an issue that people simply um, want to avoid discussing. My fear today is that we are no farther along than we were in the early 1960s. Legal separation of the races existed then. It does not exist under law today. As a result, we've learned to work together, go to school together, live in integrated neighborhoods, but we are no closer to knowing each other than we were 60 plus years ago and long before that. To really know someone, you have to build up trust. You have to look for opportunities to be with others. You need to learn their life's story. I understand to a limited extent intellectually the African American experience, but I've never lived that experience. And nor have many of my African American friends led my experiences. If we really get to know each other uh, and learn about our past, our history, uh, what our childhood was like, what our professional life was like, then we will gain a perspective not on where someone's coming from, because we have no difficulty finding out that. We're free to express it, and we do. But why we are coming from that perspective. And if we know the why we feel a certain way, or what our perspective is, then I believe there is no issue that we cannot come together on and resolve. And I'll give you one example, but I'll cut it short. Um, I remember very well my mother walking me to my first day in kindergarten. That was 83 years ago. It was 1942.
Wow.
And we stopped across the street from the school, and there was a policeman directing traffic, helping young people cross the street. My mother walked me up to him and said, "This is Jimmy. He's a police officer. If mom and dad are never around and you have any kind of difficulty, find the nearest police officer. He's your friend. He'll help you." 23 years later, I was in the county prosecutor's office, and I was riding with a detective from the Dayton Police Department to find witnesses for a case that was coming up in a few days. And I saw people treated by those officers. Keep in mind, this is 61 years ago. I saw people being treated worse than an animal. And I remember walking into a house, hearing and seeing a police officer verbally and physically abusing someone. And there was a little boy standing in the corner and watching his father and his relatives go through that. So my point is, why should I expect that that little boy, once he grows to adulthood, and why should I expect us to have the same perspective on police? We have different experiences. Experiences shape our perspectives. And when I meet someone, I don't expect them to say, here are the 10 most transformative experiences of my lifetime. But if we take the time to know each other, to work together, I'll learn those experiences. He'll learn mine. And if we know each other's perspectives, we know the why each other is coming from, and we can build a greater community. I'm
I love
sorry
it.
for that long an answer.
It was incredible. It was great. No need to apologize. That's what we're here for, to get all of your wisdom and knowledge as much as we can during our time together. But I love how you stated that our experiences really do shape our perspectives, and how we have to understand the why. We can all do research and understand, even with the start of this call, I understood, that you went to school and that you got a law degree and went on to be a judge, but understanding the why behind it and your love for history and some of the things that we're talking about today really gives that other perspective. And I think that's what we need in this world, not to sound too corny, but we do need to open up and be able to build those relationships and understand each other better. So, keeping along that same line, and I don't expect you to tell me how you feel about this particular ruling that has come about from the Supreme Court, but there is now this ruling of reasonable suspicion, which kind of offered a green light for ICE to question and detain citizens based on really their perceptions of those individuals. So, again, I won't ask you to tell us your opinion, but many believe that such decisions like those are biased and unequitable. How do you reconcile decisions that are made at the Supreme Court level which may conflict with your personal beliefs? So I'll repeat that. How do you reconcile decisions that are made at the Supreme Court level which may conflict with your personal beliefs?
Well, two excellent questions. And I will tell you how I feel about that particular decision and other decisions. But before I do, let me emphasize this. All judges take an oath to follow the law. And that's true whether you agree or disagree with the law. If I were to be a judge in a case and say, well, that conduct is allowed, but I don't agree with the decision, I'm going to rule in a different way, then we wouldn't have a rule of law. We would have a rule of man or woman, which is absolutely the antithesis of the rule of law in which we believe in this country. Most racism, whether it's black, white, black, brown, religious, gender, discrimination generally is based upon stereotypes, most of which are totally untrue. It's the belief that, well, that person is a member of this faith or a member of this race or is of a certain gender. Therefore, he or she must think a certain way or act in a certain way without even getting to know the person, to even determine whether your stereotypes, your implicit biases apply in this case. And that particular decision allows immigration personnel to stereotype people. Let's see. I heard him speaking. He has a Hispanic accent. He's brown skinned and he's in a high crime area. Therefore, he must be someone that, if not illegally in this country, should at least be required to show that he's legally here. Any court decision that allows stereotyping because of a person's race, gender, religion, etc., I disagree with. I totally disagree with. Because if you stereotype people, you're going to affect, whether you know it or not, their equality of opportunity to achieve their maximum potential. Now, I disagree with many Supreme Court decisions. I disagree with the method of interpreting the Constitution that is in favor. I personally believe, because this is what I learned, I believe it, that the Constitution is a living, breathing document, that while you must keep the basic structure of the Constitution, 3 branches of government, each one of equal importance, each one overlooking the other 2. I believe in the Bill of Rights, and I believe they should apply to all governmental agencies, local, state, or federal. But to interpret the Constitution using originalism, using the meaning of the Constitution's words as they were understood by a group of white, wealthy farmers and lawyers from 250 years ago is absurd, is absolutely absurd. I do not believe that originalism is the way to interpret the Constitution. I don't believe in pure textualism. Congress is the branch that passes laws. Some of the laws are purposefully left vague so that there can be a coalition of people supporting those bills as they're going through Congress. But textualism requires us to look at the plain meaning of the words, and we can no longer look to the legislative history, to the hearings in Congress to determine what the Congress men and women, House or Senate or both, actually intended by the legislation. So I could point out a number of Supreme Court cases over which I have a difficulty approving. But the important thing is, if I would decide the case based upon my personal opinion of Supreme Court and appellate court decisions that I have sworn an oath to follow, then I would be violating my oath as a judge and I should be dragged off the bench. If I feel that a certain result is unfair in a particular case I'm deciding, I will still follow the law. But I might say, I think this result is unfair to this particular party. I might urge an appeal, hoping that the higher court might see things differently than I have. I might say this is a matter for Congress or the state legislature to look into to see if this is the kind of law we want followed, because in the court's opinion, it hurts people. But I hope I have never done anything less than zealously follow the applicable law, regardless of what I think of it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. What a great answer. What a great answer from someone who has taken that oath to uphold the law, regardless of your opinions of those decisions that may come from a higher authority. So thank you so much for that. So everything you said really screams integrity. And that is a great segue into our next question. So, as an influential leader among your peers and in your field, many people look to you for advice and as an example. What are some of the core values that have guided the way you show up in life and on the bench?
Well, don't make more of me than I am. I'm a fallible human being, just like we all are. I've shared most of that answer with you already. I feel that I have been unbelievably blessed with the way I was raised, the family that I didn't choose, I was just born into. And I firmly believe um, that the civil rights, the moral imperative of today is to work toward equality of opportunity, not equality of result, but equality of opportunity where my grandson and a person of like age born into maybe poverty, uh, growing up without a father, uh, that my grandson and that young person will have an equal opportunity to rise and fall on his or her work ethic, character, and the like. And if I can do anything to advance that, I want to. And in a day and age like this, where these are stressful times, to put it mildly, I'm not going to influence the course of this country, if at all, beyond, this small area of Southwest Ohio. But I believe, and the reason I love this community full of wonderful people trying to do the right thing, I wish they spoke to each other a little more, and didn't operate in silos. But the most we can do is make our little corner of the world the best it can be, and hope that people in Jacksonville, Florida, or other communities across the country can do the same thing, in the hope that one community can borrow from another community's initiative and success, and it gradually spreads. I think if we dedicate ourselves to doing that, then our future is bright, brighter than it might look today.
Yeah, very well stated. Thank you. Our corner of the world. I think that's tweetable. Well, it's X now, so maybe it's Xable, but yeah, that's definitely a tweetable response. And I don't have to make more of you than you are, Judge. The world has already done so. And so I'm just piggybacking on all of the recognition and adoration that you've received so far. All right, so we're going to go into a little segment that we call I Say, You Say, and it is sponsored by ISB Consulting. And I'm just going to I'm going to give you three statements. So normally we'll say a word and our guest would come back with a word that first comes to mind. But I'm going to give you a statement, a little elevated I say, you say. And I'm going to give you the first part of the statement, and you'll just finish it with whatever comes to your mind. Keeping in mind that you are a sitting judge, so we want to make sure that you have time to reflect. All right. So if you could turn back, well, let me say it this way. If I could turn back time, I would.
If I could turn back time, I would be probably more serious about my education in the period before I went to college, and I would achieve a far broader education than I did. I was in love with history. In college, I took every history course listed in the catalog, but there are other areas that I now wish I had learned a lot more about.
Excellent. Thank you.
And,
Yes.
well, I'm not going to add.
Oh, feel free if you'd like.
Well, I've always tried to be considerate of other people's feelings. I hope on balance I've done a good job of that, but I know without any malintent that sometimes I haven't been as gentle and considerate as I would like. And I would like to go back and apologize anyone I have offended and seek their forgiveness.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. Thank you. Next question or next statement. In the year 2035, I hope to see.
Well, in the year 2035, I'll be 98 years old. So, in addition to seeing myself in a mirror vertical, I would like to see a trend toward removing what I think is the coarsening of our society. I would like us to realize by interacting with each other that there's goodness in everybody. I would love to see the criminal justice system recognize that there's more to it than punishment.
Mhm.
I would like to see a dedication to helping people get their life on the right track. Crime is economic based. The people I see, and I'm not excusing what people who appear in court have done. I'm trying to understand the reasons, whether it's poverty, whether it's drug addiction, mental health, and the like. And I would like to see this caring community, and I'm referring to Dayton, uh, put a lot more emphasis and back up that emphasis with programs and facilities that could treat people with mental health issues, with drug addiction, uh, with anger issues. For example, this community is heavy on persons living in poverty. I would like to see, uh, and you can't be raised in poverty without having mental health scars.
Mm.
Um, I'm not saying that that's an excuse for committing a crime, but I would like to see us address those scars. And again, bring that person up to the starting line along with my grandchild. I would like to see more community involvement with public education. I've gone into the schools, and Miss Angela, some of the students in the Dayton Public Schools are potential superstars.
Mm.
I mean, they can, with the right guidance, the right mentoring, achieve anything in life they want. And I want to try by mentoring not just myself, but drafting others to do the same to help those young people. Because if we don't help these young people, we are hurting ourselves.
Mm.
We are relegating young people who could have been lifesavers for our society. We're relegating them to the margins of society. Not fair to them, certainly not the best way to go for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent, excellent. I will definitely be going back and taking a listen to some of those things that you want to see and see how we, as a generation, can really try and move some of those things forward, especially as it relates to public education. And then you also talked about trauma and how trauma and mental health really impacts individuals in so many different ways. So, really trying to understand the why and the root causes of some of the issues that some of these individuals faced. Last statement, and then we will move on. The advice that I would give my younger self is.
Well, I think I've covered this. I would say to myself, learning is a lifelong passion for many people, but don't put off learning when you're young, figuring, well, I'll get around to it later, because later life intervenes and you don't have the time to do the reading or study a given subject that you might have thought you would. So, the advice I would give is learn everything you can. You probably won't be an NBA power forward or an NFL linebacker, but by God, there is no subject that's beyond your ability to learn if you set your mind to it.
I love it. And that concludes our I Say, You Say. So thank you so much. Such great nuggets, such great advice that you have given. And as we wind down and get ready to conclude our time together, I wanted to bring up our CARES Justice Institute Pathways, Lighting the Pathways to Justice awards gala that's coming up in a few weeks, where we will be presenting the very first Walter H. Rice award. And so in that gala, I'd like to know, as we seek and review and go over all of these possible recipients and candidates, what does this award mean to you? And how do you hope the recipient would represent such an honor?
Well, it means a great deal. It's both humbling and embarrassing in a way because I don't think uh, I'm worthy of having an award in my name. There are a tremendous number of heroes and heroines in this community. I don't consider myself one of them because I've been given, I'm sorry, blessings that others haven't. The people for whom any award should be named are not people necessarily with fancy titles, but people who have risen to the occasion, who have survived issues that I know I could never have survived
Mm.
on my own. And it may be, a mother who's raised children alone, uh, pursued education, raised wonderful children. These are the people who should be recognized
Mm.
because they weren't given the blessings that I was. So my hope is that people who receive this award, regardless of uh, in whom it's named or for whom it's named, uh, will work to achieve the equality of opportunity, which is really the mandate for every society.
Mm.
That's the best I can do.
I love it. I love it. So, as we seek to honor you through honoring someone else with this award, we want to make sure that this individual has a passion for equality of opportunity for all, and certainly that they would be able to demonstrate that in some portion as it relates to what you've done for the Dayton community and for all of the lives that you have touched. Judge, it has been such a pleasure to be with you today. Such great nuggets, such great wisdom, such great information that it's just universal, that all of us can glean from, that all of us can share, that all of us can aspire to live up to. I truly appreciate your time. I do not take this lightly. This is one of the best interviews, the best 1 hours I've ever had, being able to sit at your feet and to learn from you. Is there anything that you would like to leave us with for the good of the order as we go ahead and wind down our interview for today?
I think the one thing that I would like to emphasize, and first of all, thank you for the questions and the courtesies extended. It's an honor for me to have chatted with you over the last hour. I just want this community to be the best it can be, our little corner of the world. And we fall into the same paradigm that other communities fall into. I think we have an exceptional number of good people wanting to do the right thing and to make this community the best it can be. I think the CARES Justice Institute is an example of such a movement and the people who join it. I wish we communicated and collaborated with each other more. And I wish we could go, when we're thinking of people to attract to a given initiative or a given cause, I wish we could go beyond people. I use the term fancy titles, not in a derogatory way, but we tend to think of the same people. Whereas people whose names you may never heard, simply by the process of living, might have more wisdom, more experiences, more perspectives than those that people look toward for guidance have in their entire body. That's all. I'm in danger of repeating myself, and you will finally have had enough, and you'll just push the leave button.
No, that is great. And I certainly concur, Judge Rice. I think a lot of time we look for answers, not just in your corner of the world, but all over the world. We look for answers for individuals without involving the individuals that we're seeking to give answers for. We don't invite the right individuals to the table, those who have a stake in what's going to happen with their community and with their lives. And I do believe that we could all do a better job making sure that we invite those community members to the table, as you stated, those people who may not have the fancy titles or who may not have what we consider the finest education or the finest upbringing, but really making sure that we're involving all people in decision making. That's going to be the way that we create an inclusive and equitable community for all. So I
cut you off, and I apologize.
No, I'm done.
I was just going to conclude your thoughts, and I should not have interrupted. I apologize, by saying those individuals have lived the experiences that those of us who haven't lived the experiences are trying to remediate.
Yep. Absolutely agree 1000%. We're on the same page there. Well, thank you once again, Judge Rice, for your time. Once again, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you to Who Cares About Justice podcast for allowing me to be your humble guest host for today. Tune in next month as we continue the journey of Who Cares About Justice with our gracious host, Mark McGuire Sr. And if you can, join us on October 19th at the Lighting the Pathways Gala. It's going to be amazing. Judge Rice will be there, and we are going to be giving away that first Walter H. Rice Humanitarian Award to hopefully an individual who is deserving and also is able to live up to the expectations of the judge that we just heard from today. Take care. Thank you so much for being with us, and wishing you all the best.